available right now, Coach. I just want to do a quick sound check with to make sure that we're
Check,
good, Coach.
check, check.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Coach. Hey, Coach. We're live now. So, Coach, this is why I got a question for you, Coach.
What's that, Coach?
We try to do we doing all these things at one time. You know how it is. It can be rather tedious sometimes. Let me get our sound up. Testing 1 2. Testing. Now we're good. Go ahead and give me a sound check now, Coach.
Testing 1 2 3. HBCU football coaches corner.
All right, Coach. We got them ready. You got them ready now, Coach. Hey, I would like to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. I am your host, Rocky Miller. I want to thank y'all for coming in today. We are having a tremendous show today. We got a very special guest. We had 2 guests scheduled. However, we've had to reschedule with one of the other guests. I want to thank everybody who is here today to check us out. We know this is a very busy day, a very pivotal day in America, but we thought it was important for us to keep on our regularly schedule. Those of you guys who may be missing it live, you know you can always come back and catch the entire show based on go on YouTube and catch it recorded, Coach. But before we get started, Coach, the man you all came to see, Coach Cole. How you doing, Coach?
Great, Coach, as usual, man. Like you said, we wanted to get in there. We've been talking about the voting tonight. It's very important for who you want to vote on. And so, we also want to see it too, but we also want to let our fans know how important they are to us so we can get this show in and get it on the road.
Absolutely. This was this past weekend was a pretty interesting weekend in HBCU football. Most of it was money games, like I said last week. We had some, games that what I would consider as a fan, they were interesting in the HBCU space, but they didn't give a lot of context, in my opinion, to how good these teams, especially the Division I teams, will be in the conference. Now, Let me ask you this here, Coach, because you coached on the Division II level at HBCU as well. As a lower level team and going up to play a larger or a higher division HBCU school, what are you trying to get accomplished when you know there may be a scholarship disparity? You know there may be a talent disparity. However, you know how important these intra-division HBCU games are to your alumni and your faculty and staff.
And your pocketbook.
Yeah, and your pocketbook. So, and let me ask you this, Coach, as someone looking at it from the outside looking in, it seems that these intra-division games are very important to both schools. How important is it to the lower division school, the Tuskegees, the Savannah States, who had to go up and play the Blue Bloods of HBCU football?
Well, it's no question that this has been going on for years. Really, HBCU schools are really just now getting involved. It's a way to raise money. It's a fundraiser, and sometimes it's a fundraiser for athletic directors. So it's vital to all these small school programs, not just in HBCU, but around the United States. If they play these teams, they get money games. The thing about it is how you handle the money. Does it go straight to the football program? Does it go to the athletic program, or does it go to the general fund? And we can get into that as well, because sometimes it goes to respectively all three, or all in one. It's important for recruiting, and that can go both ways, Rocky. It can go against you when you're playing either a state team or a team that's in your area, as opposed, I coached at Texas Southern. That's like playing Rice, University of Houston, which is right across the street. to me, those are non-games. Why I wouldn't play them? One, I won't get the money. Two, most likely they're gonna beat me, and they're gonna beat me with a large number. And three, it's right in my backyard where I need to recruit it. You know what I mean? So right now, I'm going for some of the players they're going for because I'm gonna recruit the best like they gonna recruit the best. But when they can show that we don't beat you 70-0, 58-0, I think it's a lose-lose. And the lose-lose is also losing the money. Really, how much money will they pay? So me, if I'm Texas Southern, I'm asking for an astronomical price. Give me $1 million. Yeah, you're across the street, but I'm losing more than just a game. I'm leaving. So give me $1 million. Now, if you give me $1 million, 800,000 you're rich, Rice, you giving me, 800 now, then now that's a win-win for me, you know. So it's a lot to go with it, and I think, and when I was looking back, and we'll talk about it a little later, some of these games that these small teams was taking, they shouldn't have took. They should have just stayed at home. So that's kind of the basics of it.
Can you speak to the intra HBCU battles, like the Tuskegees versus the Grambling,
Right.
the Savannah States versus Southern? Do you see
Right.
any value in those games?
Well, the only value I see is for the Southerns in the Grambling States. Sometimes I guess the Savannahs, it depends on how much they gave you. You know what I mean? If they gave you anything under 50,000, I don't see it being a big token because now I got to travel up there. Now, if they gave me 50 buses and hotels, then you got to be strategic. If they gave me 50 and then I got to spend 10 to travel, then I'm walking away with 40,000. But if a Savannah don't draw it home, you know what I'm saying? If a Tuskegee, which I know draws it home, to me that's not a good game to take.
Yeah, I looked at it like this, Coach. I coming from somebody who does not necessarily understand the HBCU culture the same way that you do, I look at the game just from a competitive standpoint. How does a Grambling get better playing a Tuskegee? How does a Southern get better playing a Savannah State? And then ultimately, do you come out of those games with some false confidence, some false reality of who you are as a team? I would think they would be better served taking another FCS opponent that's nearby, maybe a Nickel State. Do kind of what Prairie View did, play a Northwestern or something like that, so that you get a competitive game that you can really gauge how your team will perform, possibly in a conference matchup. That's what. Go ahead.
Well, times have changed now. It's about who you beat, not who you play. So and now you're getting some of these 2-year contracts. You know what I mean? And if I could play a bunch of losers or losing programs and win and come out 7-4, lose 4 conference games, I'm fine. The fans are fine. I'm fine, and win your Labor Day Classic. But like I told you before, it's more on the Division II team of getting some out of the game than actually the 1A team or the 1AA team playing a lower team.
Coach, let me ask you something directly. I'm gonna ask you directly. Does TC Taylor get a feather in his cap for beating up on Lane?
No, sir. Not for Jackson State.
I
don't even think they raised the money or people came to even see the game up here. No, he don't. I mean, he done what he's supposed to do. It was a good warm-up game for him. He bounced off of a bad loss, and now he's got a good loss and got his team going in the right direction. I can say that.
So does Mickey Joseph get a feather in his cap by getting his first program victory at Grambling by beating up on Tuskegee?
I don't think so. I think people got larger expectations for Coach Joseph from his background. Again, but for Grambling, they can get in there and they can clean up some of the mistakes, and start all back over. But no, I don't think so. Neither one of those teams.
And last but not least, does a school like a blue blood program like Southern and their first year head coach Terrence Graves, does he get a feather in his cap for beating up on Savannah State?
I think for him, uh, to an extent that, you know, everybody's the question mark about can he get the job done. I think this is a win-win for him. Uh, of course, when you've seen the stands and seen the game, a lot of people really didn't come to the game. You know, it was Oakland. But I thought for him winning, because, you know, a lot of times people don't care about who you play, just as long as you win. So in his situation, I think it was a win-win for Southern. And it depends on how much money they gave Savannah State to come up there and play in the Pete Richardson Classic. I think it's a win for them as well.
Okay, and let's jump over to the MEAC just for a second. If you look at the MEAC opponents that they had, Morgan played Townsend, South Carolina played Citadel, and North Carolina State played Elon. Of course, South Carolina State picked up a victory. North Carolina Central and Morgan State took tough losses in those intra-division games. You know, very competitive games, but ultimately they came up on the short end of the stick. Which one? I think I know where you're going with this, Coach. Which approach you think is most valuable in the long term, regardless of the outcome of the game? Which approach is more beneficial in the long term for the programs and for the team as a whole?
Well, you know, of course, you know, you get a feather in your cap if you beat any PWI. You know, because in the past we hadn't been real good at beating PWI. I think it keeps you on track as a team, and you can measure where you are. I think it's a good learning film that they can come in and find out, you know, where our mistakes is, where we're weak at. So I think it's a good win. But then again, Coach, my philosophy is I don't play those teams that's around me. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna play a PWI, I'm gonna play one away, not in my vicinity. Because again, to me, it comes down to recruiting as well. So I can't recruit the same players as Townsend and Elon and then play them and then get beat. You know, I just don't. I don't see that. But I see that those guys in the mid, those guys are some good coaches, and they want to play teams at their levels to make sure that they don't fall off, don't get no false accusation on who they are as a team. So I give my put my feather cap of all those guys. Hopefully, but I know Morgan and Townsend are in the same area, you know. So Coach Damian up there, hopefully, you know, he played a good football game against them. It was close, but you know, at the end of the day, it's about winning football games.
Hey, Coach, we have our featured guest. He's jumped on with us. I was been waiting on him to turn on his camera, but maybe he may not have audio or whatever. But I'd like to give you that this time to go ahead and introduce our featured guest for today.
Guys, with no further ado, it's a guy I met at Fort Scott Junior College. He was a young coach, but he had all the ability in the world. He's a good student of the game. He's on fast track. He just got his first head coaching job at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, Division II program. I think this young man is going places, and I always told him just wait your turn, wait your turn. And he finally got that head job. He's been an offensive coordinator at Fort Scott, as well as at Coahoma Junior College. I think his best football in front of him as a coach and as a head coach is ahead of him. My friend, my dear friend, I'm gonna call him my student, Moses Harper.
What's up, ball coach?
Look at you, boy. Look at you. You're head coach now. You get your little grades by your old pop here. And man, I'm glad that you had an opportunity to come on and visit with me. You know, you didn't big boy me. You know, we get big boys sometimes, don't we, Rock? But
Yeah,
everybody
Coach.
that come on this show, they bounce high. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah. Sometimes I appreciate you coming on, Coach Harper. A lot of times you guys that in those head coaching spots are too busy to give us a little time, and I appreciate you guys taking time out in season to come and have a conversation with us, give an opportunity to highlight your program, tell us about who you are, and where your program is going. Because we, Coach Cole, created this platform to highlight guys like you who may not have the platform to showcase your skills, the ability to communicate where your program is headed in front of the HBCU, a large HBCU audience. But this platform gives a guy like you, Coach Harper, an opportunity to showcase your skills to the HBCU audience. And for that, we've had men here come on this show without jobs, and a couple weeks later end up with jobs.
Yeah. Well, hey,
First,
I need to get on it. First, learn how to turn the camera on, man. You got to get used to these type of interviews, right? You're trying to feature you can't turn your camera on. I got to give you shit.
well, I get these GAs in here working this thing. I forgot to slide the little button over on here to get the camera going. But I appreciate all you guys do. And then first, thanks for having me to speak about my program. And Coach, we go way back, and we still talk, and we still talk football to this day. A lot I've learned in this business come from you, with you, Rocky. Thought the Bishop was going to be on, but it's all good. But I really appreciate this opportunity to be here and share whatever it is. I'm an open book. There's no secrets in football. You got to get the Jimmys and Joes and then figure the X's O's out for they can execute it. So
now you did right. See, he did right as head coach. He blamed it on the GA. Make sure you holler at him now. You got to holler at him. But Coach, it's your first year up, man. A lot of people don't know where Lincoln University is in Jefferson City, Missouri. They're not big on winning football programs. You in an uphill battle trying to change not only just the football program, but attitudes around there. What are some of the things you have done to move that team towards just that? You haven't even got to the field yet. You guys played your first game last week, but there was a whole bunch of other things that you had to put in place.
Well, the first thing I try to challenge everybody in the community and on campus. I'm old school Mississippi boy, and I think it takes a village, and the village is this campus, from the president down to the custodian workers. So everybody that's important to these kids and deal with these kids on a day-to-day basis, I need them to be positive. I can't have the kids come down for 2 or 3 hours in practice, and then when they leave to go to the cafeteria, somebody's like, y'all gonna win this week? Y'all gonna do something next week? That's not being positive. So I challenge everybody to, if you see these kids, be positive around them. We start our meeting off every day with my kids saying they're amazing, and I follow with, yes, you are, because I want these kids to know they are amazing. You're a great opportunity to get an education, great opportunity to play this game we love to play. Not everybody gets this opportunity. So I want them to understand that they are amazing to be in this situation that they're in. In the uphill battle, to be honest, Lincoln University is a HBCU. But I'll be honest, I feel like we the light-skinned cousin at the family reunion trying to prove to everybody that we black. So, but to say that this is the most diverse HBCU you could probably go to, I look at that as a good thing, because my supporters look like me, and there's also some heavy supporters who don't look like me. So the checks come in green. That's all I'm worried about. So I try to get those people on board to believe in what we're doing. As you can see, I had a hashtag DAT. That's what this program stands for. That means discipline, accountability, and toughness. All three of those things are attention to detail. It doesn't take much to be disciplined. The discipline part is, what did you do the night before to prepare for the next day? If you knew you had 6 a.m. wakes, what'd you do to get prepared for it? Now, if you be disciplined, you can hold your teammates accountable. Now, if I'm holding my teammates accountable, now I can yell at them. I can get after them because I expect them to give the same effort that I'm going to give every day. And the toughness part, this is a collision sport. We all play this game. We know this game is physical. But the main thing, Coach, Those three things are all self-aware and self-imposed. That has nothing to do with me coaching. If you can do those things, I think you can be on the right track to try to be successful.
Tell us some things that a lot of people didn't know Lincoln was a HBCU, but there are some things that you have on campus as at a Division II program of telling people to send your kids there. What are some of those positive things about Lincoln University and you guys' football program?
Well, Lincoln was actually founded by the 62nd, 65th Infantry soldiers in the Civil War. It was actually a few black soldiers wanted to get their education, and they found a location. They wanted to start their education here, and they had a few white soldiers who kind of snuck them in the back way for they get some things going. And then Abraham Lincoln kind of put his stamp on it. So we have a great monument right in the center of campus of those black soldiers. I actually took a picture with my freshmen there when they got on campus August 6th. In there, I took a freshman picture because I sent it out to their parents, and I want their parents to take that picture because in 4 years I want them to take that same picture in their cap and gown, because that's the most important uniform you can wear on any campus. So if you get your education and get that degree, that's the most successful thing you can do here at Lincoln University. But we sit right in the capital, Jefferson City, Missouri. A smaller campus, a smaller D2. We compete in the GLVC. We just got into the GLVC conference. So this is a great place. I believe you can come here and get the HBCU background, also get a diversity feel for what you'll see in the real world. So we sell ourselves on those points. And to be honest, our kids, they have every Divine Nine here on campus. So my kids pledge. They're part of fraternities, sororities, and everything is here. So you can get that HBCU feel here. Also, you can get the real world feel here as well.
You said the GVC. Is that the Great Valley Conference?
Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Yep.
So
it's been made up. So this conference, if you're familiar with the MIAA, it's probably one of the tougher D2 conferences in the Midwest. A lot of the schools here were high academic institutions who kind of didn't keep up with the Jones when it came to facilities. So everybody started branching off. So this conference is pretty much based out of Missouri. And then we have a team we compete with in Iowa and Indianapolis. But for budget wise, a lot of my games are within 2 to 3 hour radius. So I get a lot of people at the games because my games are here at noon or 1 o'clock, and people come out and watch. The fans can get here at a decent hour and still get back home at a decent hour as well.
So tell me why, if I had a son and people watching, or we got people that get into recruiting and all that. Tell us why should our kid come to that particular HBCU?
Well, do you want to be around somebody who can elevate, who can motivate? All my coaches are more worried about the success of the kids than they are themselves. And you look at the people that you are around. If the person, like you said, where I started out, and you remember we was both in center block walls and staring at the ceiling like, how did we get here? So you look for people who put in the hard work and they actually elevate themselves in their career, and they have to try to do things. But you want to be around somebody that's family oriented, somebody that's going to push your child, not going to give it to them easy, especially in a why or yes world that we live in today. This is still a program. You're going to have to tuck your shirt in. You have to cover your back flap up. We wear white socks in practice. We do all the little things in detail. You got long hair, you got to trim it up, you got to pin it up. It's got to look nice and neat. So those are the details and what we try to build here in this program. So if you want a young man, send your young man in Lincoln, and then that's what we'll build him and get a degree, and he'll move on in life.
I can't say enough, Rocky, about Coach Harper and him being a father and having two. Now you just had two twins, didn't you, Coach? So I call him on the phone. We talking football. He got one in his hand. They crying. I'm like, hey, Coach, you fathering and you're coaching at the same time. So I let everybody know how great of a father he is and how great of a student of the game he is. It was just so much of a pleasure for me meeting him up in Fort Scott. I'm like, how did this guy end up in Fort Scott, Kansas? He he was a player himself. He played basketball and football as well, didn't you, Coach?
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
So I played in a small school in this actually 45 minutes from Jeff City, a school called Central Methodist University. I had some opportunities to go places to play football and play basketball alone. But to me, Division I or that never like enticed me to say that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go somewhere and major what I wanted to major in and do what I love to do. And they gave me an opportunity to play basketball, play football. I was part of 2 winning programs there in the Hall of Fame in basketball. And then not only that, they gave me an opportunity to start my coaching career. So I tipped my hat. And so now being back in this area, I'm familiar with this Mid-Mo area because this is where I went to school. I was actually telling my offensive line coach today, next year this time, I've been to spend more time in Missouri than I did in Mississippi growing up. So that's how long I've been here. So I built friends and family here. My kids are from this area. My wife is from this area. So this is my home. This is family to me.
Now, Coach, you're going to have to take the Lincoln University now. You're going to have to get out of the Midwest and come on down south and play some of your mother schools, so everybody can know who Lincoln is. How I knew Lincoln was my brother done played at Central State, and they used to play Lincoln all the time. Then my best friend, Michael Worthy, who you'll meet on homecoming, he actually went to school there and started all 4 years from his freshman year. So do you guys have any HBCU games on your schedule?
Yeah, well, that was the beauty of getting out of MIAA because it opened up our schedule. This year we played Lincoln, California for homecoming out of California, and then we also.
Hey, Coach,
go ahead.
That was I thought was the homecoming school. I thought that's when Coach was bragging on the guy who coaching at Lincoln. He was talking about he's outstanding. I say, well, why would he take the homecoming job if he was so good? Like Lincoln, California is like Sycamore Dairy or the Washington Generals. They play everybody on homecoming, and I wonder, do they have any home games?
You got to excuse Rocky. He's just getting into this HBCU thing. There's 3 Lincoln University, maybe more, but 2 of them black. One in Pennsylvania, and this one in Jefferson City.
Yeah, and that was an
Coach.
HBCU as well, but they don't play They don't play any home games. They play all away games. Yeah. They take the money. They take money for away games, and they go on the road and play. We'll play them for homecoming. We also have Lane College on the schedule this year. Okay. And then I'm actually in the works of working with some other people now to add a 3rd HBCU game next year because we picked up Northeastern State out of Oklahoma, who we've normally played out of the MIAA. But after this next couple of years, we're gonna move on from that contract.
Hey, Coach, as a guy who coaches at a smaller HBCU, actually outside of the footprint of traditional HBCUs, do you have to do anything more as a coach to market and possibly advertise that you're an HBCU? And furthermore, do you have to be more open in the players that you recruit?
Yeah, well, to be honest, HBCU or not, it's still small college football. Small college football, you got to fundraise. You got to find a way to make $1. If the last head coach bought too many helmets, well, if you ain't gonna do that, you're gonna start a tradition. Start selling them helmets and start making some money. So you got to do whatever you could do to bring the dollar in. I've been very fortunate to work at some PWI Division II programs that had a lot of money, and some who showed me how to go out and get the money from the community. So working around those schools, when I got in this seat, I knew I had to hit the ground running and just get out and meet the local people, and with not so much tradition or winning here. It's hard when you walk in the door and people like, why are you different? So you just got to get the people believe in the vision. I got everybody in the community wearing DA t-shirts. The biggest thing, I got everybody wearing Moses Harper football camps on their chest in the neighborhood. So, so everybody's kind of buying in, and everybody's looking forward to what we're trying to do and continue to build this program.
Coach, me and you talked, and we had some real passionate talks when you was a young coach coming through. I know I gave you hell sometimes, you know. Now you're sitting there, man, you know, and you deserve to sit there. How do you feel about being a head coach, being in the situation you are, and what you look further for in your career?
Oh,
Have you pinched yourself yet and say, man, I'm the guy?
a few times, you know, and it starts with the days when you go sit in certain meetings and they wait for your input because hey, you got to say something. I've been in some meetings, but I've just sat in the corner. Or when you walk out on the field, the referee's got to come up and talk to you because you got the challenge flag in your pocket. So yeah, sometimes you know your mind get a little overwhelming, but the opportunity, I feel like I worked for it. Did I see myself being here when I played them last year? I did not. But networking in my career has allowed me to be here today because I knew some people who were in my corner who spoke very highly of me. And then when it came down to competing on an interview, I did the best I could. And then they felt like I could get this program rolling. So I still pinch myself every day, Coach, and make sure, hey, this is the real deal.
Hey, Coach, through my journey in learning about this education that I'm getting about HBCU football, and I'm learning about all these amazing guys who coach. You said the word small college football. I'll say coach football at small schools, however you want to say it, Coach. When you're navigating in your journey, what are your individual goals as you ascend through the coaching ranks? You know, do you have individual goals, or do you just try to do? I hear coaches have two things. They have aspirations and they do want to be head coaches like you do, like you are, and then there are other gentlemen who say, "Hey, I just try to do the best job where I am, and if those if those opportunities present themselves, fine. But if not, I'm gonna be the best D-line coach. I'm gonna be the best coordinator. I'm gonna be the best special teams coach." What's your approach from a career standpoint about and growth about coaching?
Well, I always try to focus where my feet are. Wherever I've been, I always try to leave it better than I found it. However that looks, if that I recruited NFL players at a place I left and they're doing well, I recruited kids that graduated and they moved on and they're doing well. So wherever I go and plant my feet, I try to make it the best way I can. And to answer that, to be honest, I have to reset my goals every year. I've been very fortunate and blessed because when Coach met me, he told me you were going to be the next offensive coordinator. I told him I wasn't ready. And the next thing you know, I was the next OC at the #1 offense that first year. So you never know what people see in you. Just keep resetting your goals because I wanted to be a coordinator by the time I was 32. I was a coordinator by the time I was 25. So when the opportunity presents itself, you just got to take it by the reins and go because you never know when it's coming and what you had to prepare yourself for. So I'm resetting those goals now, Rock, because they got to be new ones. But I know we got to put a product on the field right now to compete, get people to keep their butts in the seats for 4 quarters, to get these kids to believe in themselves that they can compete to win football games.
Rocky, I used to give you hell, Rock. We used to go to the bar and we'd be having a little cold one, and we get the draw. I get the draw stuff. Go ahead, Coach. You tell me.
I tell that story to this day. Rock, we're sitting at a bar. It's called Sharky's in Fort Scott, Kansas.
The only bar.
We're sitting at the bar. I'm young, a young football coach, and I was a receiver in college. So I'm trying to learn the run game. And so I always, every time you see me, I'm sitting somewhere, I'm drawing on a napkin or something because it's football all the time. And I drew something and I wasn't sure. So I tried to ball it up and hide it. Coach Cole asked me, he said, "Let me see it." I said, "Coach, it's just a little inside zone I'm trying to draw." I give him the napkin. He hollered, "Man, what is this?" Coach, that was the night I learned in the run game, you got to have a hat for a hat. I don't care how many, what you got, and when you get it going, and when you're going to run the football, you got to have a hat for a hat. Coach, I got plenty of stories. Plenty of stories we can go over days for days. But those days right there motivated me to be better. You know, Coach Cole was the one who let me do practice scripts, game cards, organize the film, like everybody else will look at it like, oh, you're doing grunt work. But I took it as this opportunity for him to teach me to be who I could be. And when he left me, he said, "You ready?" I said, "Well, coach, I don't know if I'm ready." He said, "Well, coach, who breaks down the film? Who does the game card? Who does the practice scripts?" He said, "Coach, you've done everything but call it in the game. So here's your shot."
And I can't say enough about, because I told you guys about 2 shows ago, Rocky, how much football is egotistical game, And one thing about Coach Moses, he was a sponge. He never took anything personal, and I never attacked him personal because he knew and found out who I was first and foremost of what my intentions were. And hopefully, I know he has passed it on because that's how we make it in this business. But I knew Coach would be successful. I know this is just the beginning point. I'm not running you away from Lincoln yet, and I ain't even gonna ask you, what's after Lincoln, because you've already told us that you got your feet down the cement there because you want to make it and give it your all. So we're gonna continue to focus. Who you guys got next week, Coach?
We play McKendree University out of Illinois. Will be an experienced team. They had some shakeup there. Their head coach stepped down and took an opportunity at UCLA off the field. So the defensive coordinator is a good friend of mine. I've been knowing him for years. He stepped into the interim head coach role. They're coming off a loss from West Florida. So they'll be hungry coming in here. It's our first home game. Will be at night. I don't think, and the beauty about today was our first practice back. Our kids came back with a lot of energy, motivation to get back at it because they don't feel like they showed our fan base who they really are this season. And we didn't play very well last week. And there's some other things that goes into that, but you control what you can control. And these kids know me. I'm going to show up to work every day. I'm going to show up to work every day, and I want them to give me everything because I'm going to bring everything.
Well, Coach, I know you're busy, and we're gonna let you get off of here and get back to. But we want to bring you back later on in the season. We know you were just beginning, and when you reel off that 3-4-0, we definitely gonna have to have you back. Okay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you very much, Coach Harper. Look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Take care.
Oh man, that's a great interview by Coach Moses Harper of Lincoln College in Jefferson City, Missouri. Coach Cole, your tentacles throughout coaching run are crazy, and it's amazing to me every time we have these conversations, Coach Cole, is how big of an impression that you've made on other coaches, both young and old. We've had a number of times on here where guys have said you're one of the most, successful coaches, one of the most brilliant offensive minds, and how you share knowledge freely. Let me ask you this here, Coach, because this is just a question. Why you never felt it necessary to kind of gatekeep the knowledge that you have, your secret sauce? Why are you so willing to share it with other coaches for the betterment of their career?
Man, I got the darnest mother, man. Raised in a Church of Christ church, and and being the youngest of 9, she's always had me on her hip. And we're raised in the church, and the old saying, Jesus, if you slap this jaw, return the other. I can remember a time when I was actually in college, and I would call Mom. I'm like, Mom, these guys don't even know the plays. You know what my mom would say? We're teaching the plays. And I'm like, Mom, I'm learning myself. She said, well, did you do what I said? I said, yes, Mom. I took my playbook and I put it up underneath my pillow while I sleep at night. She said, yeah, so your mind and your playbook will come together. So I just been, first of all, I'm blessed. I'm blessed 8 times with 8 siblings that love me to death. And I don't know. I hear it a lot. Oh, Cole, you should You this information you should sell. You should sell. I don't know, man. I just that's my mentality, and it's kind of my downfall too, Rocky, of having my circle too big, and some people in there just like Judith was on the Lord's Supper table. It's the same principle, you know. The guy told on Jesus, didn't he? Jesus went on through the process. Some of the things that I've opened my friendship in my circle have been jabbing me in the corner left and right. So it's okay. You know what I mean?
You know,
I'm gonna be okay.
You know, the interesting thing, Coach, is I know close firsthand, knowing how willing you are to help people. When you and my wife became friends, and then she told you what I had an interest in doing, and you know, we could have went with the Johnnie Cole YouTube channel, and you were like, "No, we'll just keep it on your channel. If there's anything to become of it, we'll just share in the prosperity of it."
That's right.
And though, you know, we have a pretty decent following, but I'm so happy, Coach, that through our connection with one another and you sharing the HBCU audience with me, you know what I mean? You come to a situation where you're able to get an opportunity that not many people get in the HBCU space. You're actually a pioneer when you talk about an ex-coach or former coach being a broadcaster. So I think in certain ways, and this will also, you know, ring true in my life as well. I may not get the blessing that I wanted, but I still got a blessing nonetheless. And I see you in that same situation with HBCU Go and being a broadcaster for them. And Coach, moving forward, Coach, I don't know why in my head, this may be crazy to me. You may not even understand, you may not even agree with me, Coach, but I believe you haven't seen your last day on the sideline, Coach, for some crazy reason. I don't believe you've seen your last day on the sideline because of everything that I've heard when we go to Clark, Atlanta, when we go to the Swag Me Act Challenge, when I go to the Orange Blossom Classic, and people tell me stories and share with me things about you that I don't even know. So, Coach, if all of this knowledge and wisdom and success is out there, there are plenty of people in the HBCU space and in the football space in general that need your support. And so, I just wanted to say this, you know, Coach, thank you. I'm glad that you bring up your guys that you've helped, that you have relationships with to come and talk with us, because I think it means a lot. It shows where a man can share freely the knowledge and wisdom that he has, and he doesn't have to worry about somebody taking something from him, whatever. Because I'm like you, once God bless you or give it to you, can't nobody take it from you.
That's right, Coach. That's right. I appreciate you, Coach. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get back to football.
Yeah, Coach. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, Coach, but every time I'm just amazed at how impactful you've been in the game of HBCU football, and how sometimes you're very humble a lot of times about what you've done and how much success you've had. And so I'm always surprised each and every time I come up against somebody and they tell me something that you've done that I wasn't even aware of, or you hadn't even shared with me. All right, guys, we're gonna go over the games this week, and we're gonna go over the MEAC games last week. Then we're gonna go over the MEAC game next week. We're gonna go over the SWAC games this week, last week, go over the SWAC games next week, and we're gonna get y'all out of here, Coach. As we said before, Coach, we mentioned that South Carolina beat the Citadel. You know, go ahead.
That's big win for South Carolina State. That just shows you where Chinnisberry is. That shows you what type of coach he is. If you passed up on Chinnisberry, you passed up on a great coach. And I see Chinnisberry going some places. Right out the gate, he beat a PWI. right out the gate. He takes the #1 HBCU team to the wire. He talked the talk. He's walking the walk. Great win for South Carolina State. Look for them to make a run.
And just to look into the inside the numbers a bit, Coach, a quarterback that you spotted and you said that was a solid quarterback, Eric Phoenix, you said he was solid when you laid eyes on him the first time, and he's proven to be that guy, Coach. He was 18 for 23 for 194 yards and 1 touchdown, didn't have any turnovers. And, of course, you know what Coach Berry likes to do. He likes to run that. He likes to run that thing. So, and the running back, Duhart,
The real deal, Coach.
Yeah.
He the real deal now. And I'm telling you, when you can run the ball like that, it makes throwing that much easier.
Now, Coach, we're gonna move on to the next game, and this one kind of surprised me, Coach, because I thought Norfolk, after seeing them, we saw them in person, we saw how big and dominant they looked in the first half against Florida A&M, but they were in a tussle this weekend, Coach, with Virginia State. How can you make this make sense, Coach?
Well, the Virginia State is one of the top tier Blue Prize Division II programs over there in the CIAA. Got a great coach in Coach Frazier, great athletic department. They push football. They got 36 scholarships, so they come to play, and it should surprise me because I still think Norfolk should have dominated this game, except they were in the dogfight, And once again, when you look at Norfolk stat wise, you got to look at those numbers. You know what I'm saying? They had 257 as a team in rushing. How much is passing? 210.
Yeah.
Which was a lot better, but that interception ratio, the 2 touchdown passes, gotta get better.
Okay, Coach. Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. That I expected more out of Norfolk, but it looked like they had a really good statistical game. Now this game kind of got away from Trey Oliver real early. They came back and made a push in the second half and made it sort of respectable. I'm gonna look inside the numbers and see, can you explain this, Coach? You're really good with looking at the stats and kind of telling the story of the game. This may be the story of the game right here, Coach. And I'm gonna try to zoom it in.
Turnovers, Coach. You ain't got to show me turnovers. You can't have 3 turnovers early in the game, and keep the defense on his heels. Elon is not a bad program. They are a good football program. And off those one of those interceptions, they actually scored off those interceptions. So he started off in a hole. I think they had North Carolina Central on his heels from out the gate. It was hard for them to get things back together, but once they done, it was too far out in front. And definitely, just like Alabama State ran the ball on North Carolina Central, Elon had a lot of success. So they got a senior football team over there. So they showed it, not the year for North Carolina Central to be Elon.
Well, let me say this here, Coach. You mentioned that after you looked at the stats and kind of reviewed the game, you said, hey, in the second half, though the script looked good that they were running against Alabama State the first game in OBC, you mentioned that in the second half, didn't look like the quarterback was as effective. With a game like this, with a bad first half, with a bad second half in the OBC, and it looks like Walker Harris struggled in this game, at what point do you start getting concerned about your quarterback play? Once you've had a half and then a whole game where it looks like Walker Harris struggled.
His numbers as far as from a completion attempt looks good, 16 of 24. So he's in the high 50s But that's too many interceptions. And then when the quarterback's throwing, he loses his confidence. And so they kind of, as you can see, took the game out of his hand and probably ran the ball a lot more. Look at time of possessions as well. It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom.
Okay.
All right. Go down a little bit more.
See, I don't see
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
I don't see the team stats.
And it should have had a time
Let
of
me go to
possession.
team stats. I go to team stats. Go ahead, Coach. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Time of possession, 22, 37 minutes. They had the ball almost 40 minutes to North Carolina Central's 22. That'll let you know who was in control of the game at
Absolutely.
all times. And if you really see it, the game got away, from North Carolina Central early. So then when you came out the second half, you tried to start throwing the football, but it was a little too late.
Now let me say this. This is kind of weird to me, and maybe you can explain this, Coach. Neither team had really good third down efficiency, though they had pretty decent rushing yards. Though Elon had pretty decent rushing yards. With that kind of third down efficiency, is that a goal for your defense? Do you look at that as being a positive for your defense, or you still just gave up way too many yards?
Really, Elon is right where you want to be. You want to be at 40%. And Elon was 3 for 9. So they right there at about 38, 39.
Oh, okay.
You want to be at 40%. Also being coached, that a lot of times you win in third down situations. You know what I mean? You were moving the football. It don't necessarily mean that you was in third down. So 3 for 9 is great. Whenever they were in that, they were able to get the first down, as opposed to North Carolina Central 3 for 11. So when you look at the score and see how bad it was, you could see that 3 of the turnovers that North Carolina Central lost, and you usually get between 13 and 16 possessions, that takes away from that. So when you look at 3 for 11, and then 3 of those was interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 14 possessions right there. They only had 2 other possessions that they actually got a first down or third down, or they went in a third down situation. So
this is what's interesting. North Carolina Central kind of fought their way back in the game. It was 27-13, and Walker Harris throws a 40-yard touchdown, a pick six. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of unravels their entire day right there in the fourth quarter. But again, you're now. How does this play in the game? Now, I don't know how. As a coach, I don't know how you guys think about this. But when you have that kind of performance at home, does that? Because at home you're not dealing with any crowd noise. You know what I mean? Does that concern you having that kind of performance at home?
No, once again, it's not a counter game. Once again, it is a local game that you want to win because we're recruiting the same players. It gives you a measuring stick of where you are. North Carolina State, they still got to play Norfolk. They still got to play South Carolina State. So that MEAC is going to be a real tough conference coming out of it.
So
North Carolina State, you got to lick their wounds. Coach Trey Oliver is the greatest coach he is. He'll go back and he'll have to get his players in place and see what he's doing and where he needs to improve at in his football program.
Well, okay, we'll move on to this next game. But before we do that, I want to ask you one question, Coach. With a loss like this, will this affect their standings as the number 1 team in HBCU football?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because a lot of teams lost. And you know how we see PWIT. Unfortunately, we got to see that because we don't have a consistency of beating them all the time. So when we do play one, it seems to go unnoticed.
Okay, Coach. Moving to this game,
what
Morgan
you need
State
to
and
know
Towson
today
State.
is Monday, September 16th, 2024. Number 1, an investigation is underway following a second apparent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump's life at his Florida golf course. A Secret Service agent spotted a weapon aimed through a fence near Trump's West Palm Beach outing, leading to an exchange of gunfire with the subject who fled in a black SUV, leaving behind weapons and a GoPro camera. The suspect, identified as 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Ralph, was later detained. Number 2, fears in Springfield, Ohio escalated over the weekend due to baseless conspiracy theories targeting the Haitian community, resulting in bomb threats that shut down schools, hospitals, and government buildings. Despite no evidence supporting the claims, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have refused to retract their remarks from a recent debate, accusing Haitian immigrants of stealing and eating pets. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine publicly denounced these false claims, calling them hurtful and not helpful, emphasizing that the Haitian community positively contributes to Springfield. Number 3, in the never-ending quest to eat better, lose weight, and get healthier, many of us have been holding on to outdated myths about nutrition passed down from well-intentioned, misguided family, friends, or celebrities we've never even met. For example, we've been told that eating eggs, especially the yolks, causes high cholesterol, which can lead to cardiovascular disease and death. We've compiled a list of the top popular nutrition myths you probably heard and may even believe. Read more in today's newsletter. Number 4, Javion McGee, a 21-year-old black man, was found dead with a rope around his neck in Henderson, North Carolina, sparking viral social media claims that he was lynched. Authorities have refuted these claims, stating there was no evidence of foul play, and surveillance footage shows McGee purchasing the rope and being alone before his death. Mr. McGee's family doubts the investigation's findings, and they've hired civil rights attorneys, and they're calling for a thorough investigation alongside the North Carolina NAACP. Number 5, it's Ministry Monday, and refuge, by definition, means a place that provides shelter or protection from danger or distress. That place can be a building, city, state, or country, designed and designated to hold people safely in an emergency situation. In the Bible, God is our refuge. That's Psalm 46:1, and it reads, God is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in our trouble. Amen. Please read more about refuge in today's Ministry Monday. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. By embracing failure, we become more resilient and can confidently handle future challenges. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with our social justice contributor, Coy Malone, as we discuss the day's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wills.
$500 on the lunch break with AJ Jones.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.